Have you ever found yourself right in the middle of a sentence, grappling with what feels like it should be the simplest choice?
Oh, yeah.
And you just completely second-guess yourself. You're trying to say something, and bam, you're stuck in that familiar linguistic quicksand.
Yeah.
Is it, do I make a decision? Or is it, do I do a decision?
Right. Or the classic, did I make a mistake or did I do a mistake?
Exactly. And it's surprisingly common, isn't it? Not just for English learners who are, really trying hard to get it right, but sometimes even native speakers just kind of, they just say it.
Right.
Until someone asks why.
Precisely. And that uncertainty can be incredibly frustrating when you're striving for fluency.
It really can. These two tiny words, do and make, they seem so simple on the surface.
Deceptively simple, yeah.
But they carry so much weight, so much nuance. There's actually quite a bit packed in there.
There really is. And often they don't follow one single clear-cut rule that works every single time, which is exactly why they cause so much confusion and, like you said, that bit of self-doubt, especially for learners aiming for that native-like flow.
Totally. And that's precisely why today we're taking a deep dive into these two, titans of the English verb world, do and make. Our mission, really, for you listening, is to unpack the core differences between them. We want to reveal the surprisingly simple foundational rules. But there are some.
There are, yes.
That give you a starting point.
Yeah.
And maybe, most importantly, explore those crucial fixed expressions.
Collocations, right?
Exactly, collocations. Those are absolutely key for real fluency, for sounding genuinely natural.
Right. Our goal here isn't just, giving you a list of rules or phrases to memorize.
No, not at all. It's more about providing you with a kind of shortcut, a clearer path to understanding the underlying logic, or sometimes, the historical reasons or cognitive patterns behind why we use one and not the other.
Ah, okay. So it's about getting that aha moment. Exactly. Those satisfying moments where it clicks. That helps you internalize these patterns rather than just rote memorization.
Makes sense.
And this deep dive, it's built on some really fascinating insights from expert language guidance, linguistic research, basically helping us navigate what can feel like a linguistic minefield.
A minefield, yeah. Good analogy.
With the right map, hopefully it becomes much clearer. So, let's get started. Let's try and demystify do and make.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because when you first come across do and make, especially as a learner, there's this common feeling that there just aren't any clear rules.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
That's very fair.
I remember grappling with them myself, often just taking a guess and hoping for the best.
We've all been there.
Or maybe, trying really hard to memorize every single phrase I heard. It can feel incredibly disheartening, almost like you're lost in this linguistic Wild West.
Linguistic Wild West, I like that, yeah.
You hear, do the dishes, okay, but then make a cake.
Yeah.
Where's the connection? It's hard to see the pattern sometimes.
I completely understand that perception. It's a really common initial reaction. And while, frankly, a lot of older textbooks or maybe simpler explanations lean into that idea that it's all just about memorizing lists.
Right, brute force.
Yeah, brute force memorization. But what's really interesting here and what comes out when you look at deeper linguistic analysis is that while, okay, it's true, there aren't exhaustive rules covering every single usage with perfect prediction.
Okay.
There are definitely two foundational principles, two core ideas that give you a really powerful and actually surprisingly consistent starting point.
Two rules. Okay, well, that's immediately more comforting than the no rules at all feeling.
Right.
And honestly, two clear principles, that feels like a solid framework we can actually build on.
Exactly. It anchors our understanding before we get into the, let's say, more idiomatic stuff later.
Good. So let's dive into the first one then. Let's talk about make. What's the core idea there? How do we start to get a handle on make?
Okay, make. The primary rule, the fundamental idea for make, is that we use it when we are creating, constructing, or producing something new.
Creating, constructing, producing. Okay.
And critically, this often implies a result you can actually perceive. Something tangible, or at least newly formed. Something that comes into existence because of your action.
Ah, so you can usually see it. Or touch it.
See it, touch it, feel it, or in many very nice cases, you can eat it or drink it.
Right.
Food. Exactly. It's about bringing something from, let's say, a state of non-existence into existence, or transforming parts into a new identifiable thing.
Okay, creating or producing something tangible or newly formed. That makes a lot of sense, especially framing it as, bringing something into being. So give me some common examples where this rule just clearly worked. You mentioned consuming. So food, I guess, that seems very tangible.
Absolutely. Food preparation is probably one of the clearest, most immediate examples that shows this rule in action.
Okay.
Just think about it. You make dinner, you make breakfast, you make lunch, you even make a coffee or make a sandwich. In all those cases, what are you doing? You're taking ingredients, components, maybe flour, eggs, vegetables, coffee beans, bread, whatever, and you're transforming them through some process into something new, something complete, something edible.
A meal itself.
The meal, the coffee, the sandwich, that's a tangible output. That's the result of your effort.
Got it. So if I were to ask you, just conversationally, hey, what are you making for dinner tonight? That's the natural way.
That's the perfectly natural way to phrase it, yes, because you're literally creating that meal from different parts.
Right.
And, well, for me, earlier today, I actually made a salad for my lunch.
Nice and healthy?
Trying. So I took various fresh bits, lettuce, tomatoes, cucumber, some dressing, combined them, and produced a meal.
You created a salad?
I created a salad.
Okay.
So whether it's some fancy gourmet dish or just a simple salad, the act of assembling and, well, creating the food means we use make. We can literally see the thing we've created. Or, as we said, in the case of food, we can eat it. It's a very clear result.
That distinction, seeing or eating the creation, that's actually a really helpful mental hook, at least as a starting point. But make isn't just about food, right? It must go beyond the kitchen.
Oh, definitely.
It applies to other kinds of creativity. Construction.
That's right. It definitely does. The principle of creation applies much more broadly. For example, if you're a very creative person, maybe you make your own clothes.
Oh, wow.
You're taking fabric, thread, patterns, and you're constructing something completely new, a wearable item from those raw materials. That's a true act of production.
I wish. I am definitely not that creative. I've never made my own clothes from scratch. I admire people who can, but yeah, not much making clothes happening over here.
Me neither, unfortunately. It's a wonderful skill, though. But let's think about another area of creation, something maybe more of us have experience with. DIY, do-it-yourself projects. Have you ever, say, made any furniture? Or maybe built something for your home?
You know, I actually have. Well, sort of. I mean, not from scratch, right? I didn't go out and chop down a tree or anything.
Right.
But I did make this table, this one right here.
Oh, really? Nice. Well done. Tell me about it. What kind of table did you make?
Well, it's the classic, isn't it? I bought this table from IKEA.
Ah, IKEA, of course.
And then I made it. I built it,
Yeah.
you know, from the flat pack. All those little screws and that famous Allen wrench.
The Allen wrench, yes. The initiation ritual.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was an afternoon of carefully following instructions, maybe a bit of quiet muttering.
Huh. Perfect. But that still absolutely counts under this rule of creation or production.
Really, even if I just assembled it.
Yes. Even though you didn't, fell the trees yourself or mill the wood, the act of assembling it from all those different components, bringing it into its final functional form, that is an act of creation in this sense.
Okay, I see.
You're bringing something from just a collection of parts into a unified, usable whole. You're constructing it. You're transforming materials, even pre-made ones, into a new, identifiable object.
Right.
So making something by assembling it, like IKEA furniture, it fits perfectly with that creating or producing rule. You're turning those pieces into a finished item. It's that jump from potential to actual, and that's really the core idea of make.
Okay, that's clearer now. So to kind of wrap up make as our first big rule, it really boils down to this core idea of constructing, producing, building something. Something visible, tangible, edible, or at least brought into existence as a new thing. It's about the result, the output, something that wasn't there before in that form. Okay, that's a great starting framework.
Good.
Now let's flip the coin. Let's look at do. If make is about creation and production, what's do all about? What's its main territory?
Great question. So the primary rule for do, the other side of this, is that it's overwhelmingly used when we're talking about actions, activities, or tasks, especially general or non-specific ones.
Actions, activities, tasks.
Okay.
Unlike make, where there's usually that clear, often tangible, newly formed output, do focuses much more on the activity itself, on the performance of a task, without necessarily implying you're creating a new, separate physical thing.
So it's about the process, the doing, rather than the thing that results from it.
Exactly. It's about carrying out a process, performing an action.
That's a really helpful contrast. Outcome versus activity. Okay, so what are some common everyday examples of these actions or tasks where we just always use do?
Well, think about daily routines or chores. We do homework.
Right.
We do housework. These are general activities, right? They involve a series of actions. They take effort. They take time. But you're not typically creating a new separate physical object like you would with make.
No, you're just doing it.
You're completing a task, fulfilling an obligation, performing a set of actions.
Do homework, do housework. Now, if I can just jump in here with a personal thought. Do you like doing housework?
Because, I mean, does anyone actually like doing housework? It feels more like, well, an endless cycle of tasks, not really a creative thing.
That is a very fair question. And I think generally the answer for most people is probably no. I don't think many people genuinely enjoy it.
Right.
But housework specifically, it refers to all those different jobs you do to clean and maintain your home.
Right.
So that could be vacuuming, tidying up, or more specifically, you do the laundry. That's the action of washing and drying clothes.
Right, doing the laundry.
Or you do the dishes, washing up after a meal. These are all actions, chores.
Yeah.
They don't result in a new thing being created.
No, maybe just a slightly cleaner state.
Exactly. The result is the completion or the performance of the task. It's about maintaining order, maybe achieving cleanliness, but not creating something fundamentally new.
Okay, so it's about the general action, performing the task. That makes perfect sense. Is there another important aspect or rule for do that really helps cement its difference from make?
Yes, absolutely. There's a crucial nuance, and it really highlights the general nature and the sort of flexibility of do.
Okay.
It's how often we use do with indefinite pronouns, words like something, anything, and nothing.
Right.
When we're asking about or talking about an unspecified activity or just the general state of things regarding action, do is almost always the verb we reach for. It works like a kind of generic stand-in for any action verb.
Okay, like asking someone what they were up to yesterday, but you don't know the specifics yet.
Exactly.
So if I asked, did you do anything last night?
Yeah.
That's a perfect example of that, isn't it?
Perfect example. You're not asking about a specific creation like, did you make anything last night?
Yeah.
You're asking about general activity.
Yeah, just...
You're inquiring about the performance of some action or maybe no action, and my answer would likely use do as well, like, yes, I did something last night. Then I might elaborate, maybe I went for dinner, which is an action. Or, thinking back to our earlier examples, I could say, actually, I did the dishes and did more housework last night.
Linking back.
Linking back. These are all actions, general tasks that fall under the umbrella of do because they're about carrying out an activity, not bringing a new object into existence. Linguistically, do is often called a proverb here, standing in for other action verbs when the specific action isn't the focus or when you mean any action.
A proverb. Interesting. Okay, so to kind of sum up do, it's mainly applied to general actions, activities, non-specific tasks. The focus is on the performance of the action itself. And usually there isn't that tangible, newly created outcome that make implies. It's the action itself that matters.
That's the core distinction.
So, okay, let's put those two rules side by side for a second. Make for creation, production, tangible or new outcomes. Do for general actions, tasks, performance, especially with something, anything, nothing. That sounds almost too neat, almost too simple. Are there really no other big universal rules for do and make that we need to know? Or is this where we start getting into the tricky bits, the exceptions, the patterns we just have to learn?
Unfortunately. Not really. No more big universal rules. And this is exactly where the frustration often kicks in for learners. And honestly, it's why do and make are seen as so challenging, sometimes even for advanced speakers.
Right.
Because while those two foundational rules are great, they give us an excellent start, they cover a lot of ground, they just don't cover every single use of do and make in English.
No escape.
No escape. The language, as it always does, has its quirks, right? Its own history, its own established ways of pairing words together that sometimes seem to defy simple categorization. And that brings us squarely into the really important territory of fixed expressions.
Okay. So if the rules only take us so far, what is the best way to really get a grip on these verbs, to truly master them? Because I can just imagine people listening thinking, okay, the rules are helpful, but what about all those other times where neither rule seems to fit perfectly? I definitely remember struggling with phrases that just sounded right or sounded wrong, but I couldn't tell you why.
That's a really, really important question. And it leads us right to the next critical part of this deep dive. What's genuinely fascinating and absolutely essential here is understanding that the best path to mastering do and make isn't just about those two general rules.
Okay.
It's really about learning the fixed expressions, those collocations we mentioned that use them.
So the specific pairings.
The specific pairings, exactly. English is incredibly full of these set phrases where certain verbs just naturally go with certain nouns. It's almost like they're, I don't know, linguistically married or something.
Oh, good way to put it.
And once you start to internalize these collocations, your fluency takes a huge leap forward because you stop trying to apply the rule to every single noun.
Right, you just recognize the pair.
You recognize the established partnership. It becomes less about deduction every time and more about recognizing these patterns that are just deeply embedded in the language through centuries of use. It's actually a powerful shortcut to sounding natural.
That makes a ton of sense. So less about invention, more about recognition and internalizing these common couples. It's a good way to get them in your head, as they say.
Exactly.
Okay, let's look at some of these then, these indispensable fixed expressions. Shall we start with make?
Absolutely. Let's dive into some of the most common, most useful make fixed expressions. Some of these might seem to stretch the creation rule a bit, but you can often still feel an underlying sense of bringing something into existence, even as it's abstract.
Okay. First one up, I think every single language learner knows this one, because we all do it. Oh, wait, no, we all make them. Make a mistake.
Yes, make a
I
mistake.
just get that wrong all the time. I don't know why, but do a mistake just felt more logical to my non-native brain at first. What's the deal with that one? It feels so basic.
It does feel basic, but it trips people up. Make a mistake.
Yeah.
It's incredibly common, especially, as you said, when you're learning something new, like a language. You will inevitably make mistakes.
Guaranteed.
And that's absolutely okay. The reason we use make here, even though you're not, crafting a physical object,
Guaranteed.
is because you are, in a sense, bringing an error or a wrong action into existence. You're causing it to happen. You're producing the mistake.
Producing the mistake.
It's like you're committing an error, bringing it into being. And, as we often tell learners, making mistakes is truly the best way to learn.
It really is.
It's how you find the gaps and how you grow. So embrace making mistakes. You're creating an error, maybe, but it's a necessary part of the process.
That's such a positive spin. Creating an error.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay, another one that's really relevant for learners, especially if you're in a new place, meeting new people, make friends. We don't do friends, do we?
No, we definitely make friends. When you're in a new environment or maybe just interacting with people using the language you're learning, you hopefully make friends.
Mm-hmm.
Here, make is all about establishing new relationships, forming connections, building bonds.
Okay.
So you are effectively creating a new social connection. You're bringing a friendship into existence through interaction, through effort. It's a kind of social creation.
Social creation. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Okay, how about something that involves choosing, deciding on something, defining a path forward?
Yes. Make a decision.
Make a decision. Right.
This is all about the process of choosing between different options, reaching a conclusion, settling on something.
Okay.
You're bringing a choice, a resolution, a specific course of action into being. You're formalizing a path after thinking about it.
So you create the decision itself.
You create the decision itself, exactly. For example, linking back, yesterday I made a decision to do the housework last night.
Look at that. Using both in one sentence.
See how they work together. Make for the act of resolving, of creating the decision, and do for the action you decided upon, carrying out the housework.
That's a fantastic example of how they interact. Brilliant. Okay, so speaking of decisions and housework, what about looking ahead, planning things? That feels a bit like creation too, like structuring something that didn't exist.
It leads perfectly into the next one. Make plans.
Make plans, yeah.
This involves thinking about the future, future actions, future events, and then structuring them, organizing them.
Okay.
You are literally creating a kind of blueprint or a schedule for what you intend to do. So because I did the housework last night, that's specific action.
Your reward.
My reward. I'm now making plans to go out for dinner tonight.
Nice.
I'm creating that social engagement. I'm creating a schedule for my evening. It's the creation of an intention, a future arrangement.
Yeah.
You're bringing future events into a sort of structured reality.
Bringing future events into structured reality. I like that definition. Okay, you've definitely earned that dinner. And one more for that one that has a very clear, often quite tangible, though usually unwelcome result. Make a mess.
Make a mess, yes.
This one feels very intuitive to me, actually, because the mess itself is like a new state of being that you've unfortunately created.
Exactly. Make a mess. It's a classic. If you're, say, cooking and you accidentally spill flour all over the counter or drop food on the floor,
Yeah,
you make a mess.
definitely.
The mess is the tangible, disordered result of your action. It's a state of disarray that you have created.
You created the chaos.
You created the chaos, and crucially, you wouldn't say do a mess.
Oh, that sounds wrong.
It sounds completely wrong. That's a really common error, and it's a perfect example where the fixed expression, the collocation, make a mess, is just the only right way to say it. You've created a state of disorder. Very tangible.
You definitely make a mess. You absolutely do not do a mess.
Yeah.
That's a great aha moment, I think, for a lot of listeners. That's one of those classic pitfalls. Now, just thinking beyond these 5, are there other make collocations that maybe feel less obvious but still kind of fit this creation or bringing into existence idea, even if it's abstract? Like, what about make an effort? You're not making a thing there.
That's an excellent question. And this is where you see this sort of the beauty and the flexibility of the language, how these core ideas get extended.
Okay.
When you make an effort, what are you doing? You're literally producing effort. You're generating exertion or striving or determination.
Producing.
You're bringing forth that inner resolve, that energy. So it's an abstract creation, yes, but it's still a kind of creation or production.
Okay, I can see that.
Or similarly, think about make a point, like in an argument or discussion.
Right.
You are formulating and presenting an argument or an idea. You're essentially creating a specific position or statement for others to consider.
Creating a statement.
Or make a fortune, you're creating wealth. Make noise, you're generating sound. Even something like make sense.
Makes sense. How does that fit?
Well, when something makes sense, it's bringing clarity or meaning or logic into existence where perhaps there was confusion before. It's creating understanding.
Creating understanding.
Wow. So in all these cases, make is still tied, often quite closely, to that core concept of bringing something into being, causing it to exist, whether it's a physical object, an abstract idea, an effort, a sound, or even clarity.
That's fascinating. It really broadens the scope beyond just the purely physical. It includes abstract creations, intentions, generating states or conditions. Okay, that really expands my understanding. So just to recap those make examples quickly. Make a mistake, make friends, make a decision, make plans, make a mess. And then the more abstract ones like make an effort, make a point, make a fortune, make noise, make sense. That's a pretty solid list for make.
It's a good starting point, definitely. Yeah. Okay, now let's switch gears. Let's look at the fixed expressions for do.
Let's do it. And these are just as important for really mastering do and understanding its territory, actions, activities, performance.
Right. Okay, first one, something many of us, well, do every single morning, part of the routine.
That's right. We do our hair or we do our makeup.
Do hair, do makeup, yeah.
These are daily routines, personal grooming actions. It's a process, right? A series of actions you perform on yourself.
Okay.
You're not literally making a new head of hair or constructing a new face.
Well,
you're performing the actions of styling your hair or applying cosmetic products. It's the activity. So, for instance, I do my hair and makeup every morning before starting work. I'm performing those actions on myself. It's a routine task.
That makes total sense. It's the activity you perform, the process you go through. Okay, what about something more academic, maybe involving tests or assessments?
Another very common one is do an exam.
Do an exam.
Right. When you get to the end of a course, or if you're aiming for a qualification, you do an exam to test what you've learned. You are performing the action of taking the test, answering the questions, writing things down.
So you don't make the exam.
Exactly. You don't make the exam the teacher or the examining board. They make the exam by creating the questions and the structure. You, the student, you do the exam by completing it. That distinction is really important.
That is an excellent distinction. Creating versus taking. Got it. And sticking with actions. What about physical activity? This feels like a really pure do category.
It really is. For physical activities, we almost always say do exercise.
Yeah, exercise.
You know, it's very important to do exercise every day for health reasons. And right alongside that, we also do sport.
Do sport. Okay.
Those two are very closely connected. They both mean engaging in physical activity, performing the actions involved in that specific activity.
So the performance again.
The performance, yes. You're carrying out the physical motions, the regimen of the exercise, or the sport. So you might do yoga, or do aerobics, or do martial arts. It's always about performing the activity itself.
Okay, do exercise, do sport, do yoga.
Yeah.
Understood. Now, what about What about a common household chore that involves going out and getting things? This feels like it could be slightly confusing if you think about making purchases.
Ah, yes, a very common one. We do the shopping.
Do the shopping, okay.
This refers to the whole activity of going out to buy groceries or other necessary items, the errand itself.
Yeah, errand, right.
So I might say, I do the shopping regularly, usually on a Saturday morning. It's a task you perform, an errand you run. You're engaged in the process of acquiring goods, not actually creating the goods themselves.
So you do the shopping, meaning you go to the supermarket, you select things, you pay. You're performing the action of selecting and buying.
Exactly that. It's the act of going and acquiring, a general activity.
Got it. Okay, so far we have do our hair or do our makeup, do an exam, do exercise, do sport, and do the shopping. That's 5. Is there maybe one more that's very relevant to what we do and actually relevant to what our listeners are doing right now?
Absolutely, a perfect one. We do research.
Of course. Do research. That makes perfect sense. It's an intellectual activity, right? The process of investigating, gathering information. You're performing the action of inquiry, exploring things, analyzing data. You're not really making new facts out of thin air.
No, definitely not.
You're performing the intellectual work to discover and understand things that are already there, or to synthesize them.
Precisely. It's incredibly interesting to do research on a topic that genuinely captures your interest. And in fact, that's exactly what you, our listener, are doing right this moment by tuning into this deep dive.
Ah, nice connection.
You're engaging in a form of research, performing the action of listening and learning to deepen your understanding of do and make.
That's a great example, bringing it right back to our audience. Fantastic. Now, are there any other do collocations that spring to mind? Maybe slightly less obvious ones, but that still fit that idea of performing an action or task. What about something like do good or do bad?
Oh, those are excellent examples of abstract uses of do.
Okay.
When you do good and you do bad, you are performing actions that have a moral dimension, an ethical impact.
Right.
You're carrying out deeds, performing actions that are seen as beneficial or harmful. You're not creating goodness as a tangible thing.
Wow.
But you are performing actions that embody goodness or badness.
Yeah.
Similarly, we say do our best. What does that mean? It means perform to the absolute peak of our abilities.
Perform, right.
Or do a favor for someone. You are performing an act of helpfulness. Do business. You are performing the various activities involved in commerce and trade. In all these cases, you see do is consistently focused on the performance, the execution of an action, an activity, a task. Whether it's concrete like washing dishes or abstract like doing good without implying that a new distinct entity is being created.
So whether it's sweeping the kitchen floor or, I don't know, contemplating philosophical good, if it's fundamentally about the execution of an action or a process, do is usually our go-to verb.
That's a great way to summarize it, yes.
Wow. That's actually incredibly clarifying.
And, you know, understanding these underlying patterns, it isn't just about memorizing rules or lists. It actually taps into how native speakers, often unconsciously, categorize the world in terms of actions and outcomes. When something new comes into being or is produced, we often lean towards make. When an action is performed, carried out, executed, we often lean towards do. And then, of course, those fixed expressions, the collocations, they either reinforce these core patterns or sometimes establish their own specific idiomatic meanings over time.
Okay, so we've really taken quite a journey here through the often tangled woods of do and make.
We have indeed.
We started with that foundational idea. Make generally connects to creating or producing something, often something tangible, something newly formed, something you can perceive.
See, touch, consume.
Right, or even an abstract concept that you're bringing into existence, like a decision or a plan.
Exactly.
And then do primarily relates to general actions, activities, non-specific tasks.
Yep.
The focus is much more on the performance of the action itself.
That's right. And if we sort of zoom out and connect this to the bigger picture for you, our listener, it becomes pretty clear that while those two foundational rules give us a really valuable framework, you know, a mental shortcut to get started, true proficiency, real and natural fluency with these verbs, it really comes from integrating these set phrases, these essential collocations, building them into your active vocabulary.
So it's about building up that internal library of the correct pairings.
Precisely. Think of them like, well, like linguistic partnerships that have just evolved over hundreds of years and are simply how we say it in English now.
Okay, so let's bring it right back to the listener. What does all this mean for you, the learner, who really wants to deepen your command of English?
Yeah.
Why should you care so much about these seemingly small details?
Mm-hmm.
Because this deep dive, it isn't just about memorizing a list of phrases, is it? I mean, that's part of it, sure.
It's part of it, but not the whole story.
Right. It feels like it's more fundamentally about understanding the underlying logic, or at least the established pattern, behind the language.
Exactly.
It's about moving beyond just, making yourself understood to actually sounding natural and precise.
And that understanding, that deeper grasp, is incredibly empowering. It genuinely helps build your confidence.
Yeah, it must do.
And it helps prevent that feeling of just being overwhelmed by what seem like completely arbitrary rules or endless exceptions. When you know these distinctions, when you've internalized these common expressions, you naturally start to avoid those common mistakes. The little things that can sometimes make your English sound, well, a bit unnatural or hesitant.
Right. So you sound more fluent, more like a native speaker.
You sound more like a native speaker, yes. And you gain the precision to express yourself exactly how you want to. It means you can focus more of your mental energy on the actual message you want to convey.
Oh, that's a great point.
Rather than getting tripped up on the mechanics of choosing the right verb. This level of understanding, it really frees up your cognitive load. It allows for more fluid, more sophisticated communication overall.
It frees up your brain space for the bigger ideas.
I love that.
What?
Okay, so we've explored some really key examples of do and make today, hopefully clarifying what is often a really confusing aspect of English and revealing some of those deeper patterns that are at play. But, what's fascinating here is that the journey of language learning, much like these verbs themselves, it's an ongoing process, isn't it? A process of discovery. Absolutely. It never really stops. And there are many, many more fixed expressions with make and do out there waiting to be discovered in the vast landscape of the English language.
So many more partnerships.
So many more partnerships. This deep dive hopefully has given you the foundational tools, the key underlying principles, and some really crucial examples to build upon.
Consider it the map and the compass.
Exactly, the map and the compass for a significant part of this particular linguistic territory.
Which I think raises a final important question for you, our dedicated listener, as you continue your journey. How will you continue to, do some research on these fascinating nuances? How will you discover more of these linguistic partnerships, these collocations, to truly make progress in your own English journey?
Using the verbs themselves.
Nice. Because ultimately, mastery isn't some fixed destination you arrive at, is it?
No, definitely not.
It's an ongoing process. It requires active engagement, curiosity, exploration. Keep those ears open, keep those eyes peeled, and just keep learning.